welcome to a new episode of What the F. And the last video that I recorded about the whole One Direction thing, the response was good from the people who viewed it to those who watched it. Thanks. And I promised that the next video would be a bit more light-hearted, and it is. Right now, I've recorded a couple of videos in the past, as most of you know who've watched these videos thus far, a few of you anyway, that I've done that I'm a bit of a geek when it comes to certain things. I like science fiction and things like that in general, and conventions and such. But also, I did a couple of on my particularly favorite superhero, Superman. I did a couple on Superman character in general, and the recent Man of Steel film, and I've been posting periodically updated videos on the upcoming movie. Well, I say upcoming; it's not until next year. The Batman v Superman: Dawn of Justice. And I recall I talked about how Ben Affleck is the new Batman. A lot of people freaked out about that. I didn't, and I would periodically announce who they cast as it. I mean, for that movie, which is out next year. The returning cast are obviously Henry Cavill, who is Superman, Amy Adams, who is Lois Lane. Lawrence Fishburne is coming back, as far as I know, as Perry White, and Diane Lane will be returning as Martha Kent. Now, since that announcement, there's been periodic announcements, because again, all this started being announced a while back at San Diego Comic-Con. So there's plenty of time, and they've been releasing little tidbits, like they released pictures of the Batmobile. They've announced other cast like Jeremy Irons, who's going to be Alfred, and Jesse Eisenberg, Lex Luthor, Jason Momoa, Aquaman, and Gal Gadot, who is Wonder Woman. And I featured in the videos pictures of the cast, because that's what people want to see. I mean, people freaked out when Ben Affleck was cast as Batman, but people have had time to get used to the idea, and then when they finally showed the picture of him as Batman, I mean, I think that allayed a lot of fears because he looked outstanding. It was a great picture. I'll see the previous videos. I'll include a link in the description if you want to have a look back at that. But this video is primarily about recent news that's been announced, and it's all to do with pictures. Right, because that's what we want to see, as I said already. When we've seen pictures of Ben Affleck as Batman, we've seen the picture of Gal Gadot as Wonder Woman, and when they announced that, the two particular characters that I'm going to focus on in this video are Aquaman and Lex Luthor. Now, as we all know, Jason Momoa was cast as Aquaman. Now, most people would know Jason Momoa from his role as Ronan Dex in Stargate Atlantis, and as Khal Drogo in Game of Thrones. Now, they announced him, and people again throw in their 2 cents of what they think. I mean, people objected to Ben Affleck, and there were some who objected to Jason Momoa as Aquaman. Well, I'll be honest with you, the character of Aquaman isn't a character that I'm all massively familiar with, because I was very singular in my taste in terms of superheroes. I mean, I love Batman, and Superman are my favorite superheroes. I like the likes of Spider-Man as well, but I wasn't really a huge comic book fan, because the one thing I hated, and I hated about television, and it's the reason I couldn't get into comics, is I can't buy an issue of a comic and then I have to wait till next month for the next issue to know what happened. I want it now. So when I started getting into kind of comic books, it's more graphic novels. Like the way, I mean, sometimes they'll have a run of comics, like a Batman run or a Superman run, but later on they'll put it into one book. That's what I prefer, because I can get it all now, I mean, it would be like fucking buying the last Harry Potter book and they're releasing it chapter by chapter. You want it all now. So I was primarily a graphic novel guy, and again, Superman and Batman were my main interests. So the only exposure to the character of Aquaman I've really seen was in Smallville. In the later season of Smallville, they kind of started putting together the Justice League, where they had like Green Arrow, they had a Cyborg, and they had the Flash, and they also had an Aquaman. And there was a brief period where it looked like there was going to be an Aquaman TV series, but it never happened. I think there was a pilot that was filmed, but nothing ever came of it. It's like one of those things that you really have to search for. It's not on DVD anywhere. You'd have to like know somebody who has it. But that is to the extent my knowledge of Aquaman. So I had to kind of look up who it was, and the entries and the biography of the character, if you will, is his real name. Apparently, obviously his name's not Aquaman. His real name is Arthur Curry, and he's king of Atlantis and ruler of the Seven Seas. Now, that's the basic minor synopsis of who the character is. But previous depictions of the character have been like in the comic books, and in Smallville they had him. He was a very kind of colorful character. He wore kind of like an orange suit or something, and it looked good. I mean, again, for comic books, he was a very colorful character. But the reason I'm talking about this is because an image has been released, and Zack Snyder tweeted it, of Jason Momoa as Aquaman. Now, the picture you're about to see is a split screen picture, right? On the left will be Jason Momoa as Aquaman, and on the right is the common comic book depiction of the character. Because when this picture was released of Jason Momoa as Aquaman, there were those who objected. They were like, oh my god, it's too dark and too serious. They compared it much like to his character Khal Drogo in Game of Thrones, kind of like that. And well, some fans of Aquaman, or fans of the comics, were kind of upset that they were like, he's a bit too serious looking, as I already said. But I've spoken long enough, so I'll show you the picture. This is the picture again on the left. Jason Momoa is Aquaman. On the right, Aquaman in the comic book. So here it is. Now, to me, again, given that I'm not an aficionado of the character of Aquaman, I like what I see there. I mean, he looks like a really tough, kind of badass character, and I can see why they would make the comparison to his character in Game of Thrones, because it's very kind of light in that kind of serious, kind of warrior-looking vein. And the picture on the right of what you just saw is the common depiction of Aquaman in the comic book. Very colorful, kind of bright colors. And again, as I said, fans, kind of some fans were upset. And I can't. And what I thought when I saw that was, well, are you surprised? I mean, like, what did you expect? I mean, I think it was Chris Nolan, really, who set the tone for the DC universe in terms of films. When he did his Batman trilogy, in Batman Begins, The Dark Knight, and The Dark Knight Rises, he did a very particular grim, dark portrayal of Batman. So when they decided to revive Superman and they made Man of Steel, that was in a sort of a similar darker vein, in the movie, he's beating the crap out of Zod and buildings are falling down. It's very grim, and he breaks Zod's neck at the end. So Chris Nolan kind of set the tone in terms of what the DC, apologies for the Marvel, the DC tone. He set the tone for the DC films that would come. So it's like, I remember people saying when they saw Ben Affleck as Batman, oh god, he's a grim, serious character. And again, they said the same thing about Aquaman. And again, as I said already, why are you surprised by that? They said the same thing about Gal Gadot when they released the image of her as Wonder Woman, that it was kind of a darker portrayal. And goes, well, of course it's going to be. It has to be, first of all. It has to be, because if you have dark Batman, dark Superman, dark Wonder Woman, bright and colorful Aquaman, it's not going to work. It's going to stand out like a sore thumb. It doesn't work. They have to change the tone of the previous depictions of Aquaman to fit in with the tone of the films that have come since Chris Nolan made his Batman trilogy. It's a more darker, serious universe they're making, and the characters need to reflect that. The image needs to reflect that. They can't have a colorful Wonder Woman and a colorful Superman or a colorful Aquaman when Batman is kind of very broody, grim, and serious. They're not gonna. It's not like the films are gonna be depressing. They're not gonna be like, you're not gonna leave the movie going, oh, what's the point of anything. It's just the way those films are, because the colourful, my opinion, again, this is my opinion, I'm not stating this as fact, but the colourful depictions in the past that I've seen of all the beloved superheroes, like Superman, for instance, have they've been of a colourful tone. It's because it's what the audience wanted. I mean, when you make a product like a movie or a television show, the whole point is you want to appeal to the audience and you want to give them something that they want to see. Now, when you make a trilogy of films like Chris Nolan did with Batman, where it was a darker, more serious tone, and then you suddenly jump from that, and I think Man of Steel was the next one to come after that once they'd finished with Batman, to do a kind of a colourful, upbeat Superman would have been a bad idea, because again, the tone has been set by Chris Nolan of that it's going to be more serious and kind of more darker, and it would just be wrong to kind of suddenly change direction, given that those three Batman films that Chris Nolan made were fantastic, phenomenal films, great performances from the actors in them, and just great films in general. So to say that you can't you could have a colourful character in those things, it doesn't work, because the films are too dark and too serious to have anything like that. So the depiction that you've just seen of Jason Momoa's Aquaman is pretty good in my opinion. It fits in with the tone, because the films so far have been pretty good. I mean, the Batman trilogy was good. Man of Steel, in my opinion, some people didn't like it, but by and large, the Man of Steel movie was a success. People loved it and thought it was great. Obviously, I'm one of them. So I trust their judgment. I trust Zack Snyder and David Goyer or whoever is involved in these films knows what they're doing. They're not gonna ruin this. They're not gonna pour crap all over it and just turn it into a farce. I mean, if they were to change direction now, I think they'd cop more flack for that. If they suddenly changed direction and was more colourful and silly. So I like the direction they're going in, and I like this image of Jason Momoa as Aquaman. He looks pretty good, and again, I'm very excited to see the film complete. Now, at the start of the video, I mentioned two characters is what this video is about. And I've already talked about Jason Momoa's Aquaman. I've shown you the picture, so that's my 2 cents there. And the second character I talked about was Lex Luthor. Now, the enemy in Man of Steel, the recent Superman film, was the character of General Zod, brilliantly portrayed by Michael Shannon. Now, clearly, that character ain't coming back, because Superman broke his neck at the end. He killed him, so Zod's gone. So the next logical step in terms of who else would go up against Superman, and that would be what many regard as his arch nemesis. I mean, in the comic book, Superman's had a lot of enemies. He's had Brainiac, he's had the aforementioned General Zod. So, but the one that's always kept popping up in comic book form, in books, in TV, in the movies, Lex Luthor. And in a previous video, I did mention that Jesse Eisenberg is the actor who's been picked to play Lex Luthor. Now, Jesse Eisenberg, as we all know, he portrayed Mark Zuckerberg, the guy who created Facebook, in the movie Social Network. So he did a good job in that movie. Like, he's a good actor in what I've seen him in, and I've already said in a previous video, I don't necessarily object at all. Again, I don't have that sense of entitlement to a character that I should have a say in who plays him. I think I've mentioned that in a previous video, but in short, just because I love the character and because I'm so interested in the character and the portrayal, I'm under no illusion. I don't have a say in who casts. Like, I may have an opinion of who plays the character, but by and large, I've been positive about who they've announced so far. I like Ben Affleck. Gal Gadot was the only one I don't know about, because I didn't really know who she was. I know Jason Momoa. I've seen his acting, and I've seen Jesse Eisenberg acting, and they're not bad. So Jesse Eisenberg, I think, will do a good job as Lex Luthor. But as I said earlier in the video, what people want to see, what the fans want to see, are pictures. They want to see They wanted to see Ben Affleck in the Batman suit. They got it. They wanted to see Gal Gadot in the Wonder Woman costume. They got it. And now they've seen Jason Momoa as Aquaman. And people were wondering, well, when are we going to see Jesse Eisenberg as Lex Luthor? Now that's kind of that was kind of a weird thing, because it's not like Lex Luthor has a costume. Lex Luthor is just a guy. He doesn't have superpowers. He wasn't born on a distant planet. He doesn't rule the seven seas. He's just a guy, a very smart man. But the only identifying characteristic in Lex Luthor is the fact that he's bald. I mean, in every depiction in the comic books and on TV and in the films, he's always been bald. I mean, everyone knows Gene Hackman, who played him in the Christopher Reeve Superman films. He wore a wig for most of it, but at the end of Superman, when he takes the wig off, and we see that Lex Luthor is in fact bald. And in Smallville, the Superman TV series that ran for about 10 years, Lex Luthor was played by Michael Rosenbaum, and he was bald the whole movie. He really kind of left into the character there. And and even before that, in the Dean Cain Superman era of Lois and Clark, John Shea played Lex Luthor, and he didn't play him bald initially, but later on he would become that. So, and then in one of the most recent Superman films, in which Brandon Routh was Superman, it was Kevin Spacey. Kevin Spacey went for bald as well. So it's the kind of defining characteristic in terms of the image of Lex Luthor is he's bald. And while they've been filming the Batman v Superman Dawn of Justice movie, the paparazzi and photographers, they want to get on-set pictures, and they've gotten some. They've gotten some of Henry Cavill coming in from his trailer in the Superman costume, and he has like a duffel coat on, trying to cover it up, but it's obvious who it is. But and they've gotten pictures of Ben Affleck as Bruce Wayne, not as Batman on set, but they've gotten pictures of him as Bruce Wayne, and they've been looking for as well Jesse Eisenberg. They wanted to see him as Lex Luthor. Now there are pictures of Jesse Eisenberg on the Batman v Superman set, but he always has a towel over his head. And that gave rise to, oh, did he do it? Did he shave his head? And recently, again, as I said, this video is all about pictures. They recently released the first official image of Jesse Eisenberg as Lex Luthor. So I'll show that picture to you now. So here it is. Now that's pretty good, isn't it? Again, what I said about Jason Momoa's picture as Aquaman, looked pretty badass. Jesse Eisenberg in that picture looks mean. And of course he's gonna look mean. He's Lex Luthor, he's not a happy guy. He's only happy when he's fucking causing grief for Superman. So, given that they've got like Batman and Superman in the same film, how's Lex Luthor gonna react? I mean, there's all sorts of theories as to what part is Lex Luthor gonna play in the film. I mean, some have the theory that that Lex Luthor is going to have like a propaganda war and turn people against Superman. Batman is sent in to sort it out. Batman finds out, hang on, we're being played, and him and Superman team up. That's one rumor I've heard. And then the other is that they're following the line of the Dark Knight Returns graphic novel, in where the U.S. government thinks that Batman has become too extreme, and they essentially send in Superman to sort him out. But who knows what route they're gonna go? But that picture, but at the center of it, you can be guaranteed it's Lex Luthor. Lex Luthor will probably be the guy who kind of pits them against one another, spreads rumors, and as I said, propaganda. Because the one thing Lex Luthor always saw about Superman is he always referred to him as an alien. He wasn't like, Superman, Savior, Man of Steel, was that alien, that foreigner. That foreign, like an alien who came to our planet. And, he's looking out for us. We shouldn't trust him, What are his motives? He's basically, the character Lex Luthor is a pretty paranoid guy. He doesn't like Superman. Superman's had to take him down a peg or two a few times over the years in, like, the comic books and stuff. And, so basically, Lex Luthor wants to essentially kill him. I mean, in the Superman Returns movie where Kevin Spacey was Lex Luthor, he almost did it. He had like this shard of kryptonite that looked like a knife, and he essentially dug it into Superman's back. So it'll be interesting to see how Lex Luthor will fit into things. But there was always an indication that Lex Luthor was going to pop up in any way. Because in the Man of Steel movies, you'd have to really look. In Man of Steel, you see when Zod and Superman are fighting, you can see Luthor's name on some of the, like, the machinery. Like there's a truck with his name on it, and the building. So you can see his name on certain things. So it was like little things planted to let you know, like, obviously Lex Luthor is gonna pop up at some stage. So people are always curious when you play a character who's kind of iconic like that. In the Superman universe, he's iconic. He's seen as Superman's arch enemy, his number one enemy. They're just like Batman has the Joker, Superman has Lex Luthor. And so getting the right actor to play that character is always, you always want to be careful. You don't want to pick the wrong guy. Well, a picture isn't a determining factor in how Jesse Eisenberg is going to be in the role. But given the past work that I've seen Jesse Eisenberg in, primarily for me in The Social Network, because he portrayed Mark Zuckerberg a bit of a kind of a mean kind of guy, almost like, he considers himself superior to everyone else and above most people in terms of intelligence. He thinks he's smarter than everyone, and he doesn't understand when people don't react the same as him. He doesn't get it. But I can see, that would be a good portrayal, because Lex Luthor is sort of similar. Lex Luthor considers himself superior to everyone. When Gene Hackman played him, he was always saying, Lex Luthor, the greatest criminal mastermind of our generation. How do you repay him? And it's like, again, cocky fucker who has delusions of grandeur and is just basically high on his own legend. So, again, the right actor is important, and as I said, a picture is not going to determine whether or not he'll be good at acting in the role. But I'm judging by his previous work, and Jesse Eisenberg's previous work has been pretty good. So I'm comfortable in him doing that. Again, he doesn't need my permission to be a character. That's just my opinion. That he'll be good. But the image, the picture reinforces the kind of, they're doing all right. He looks the part. And when you look the part, you'll do it. Ben Affleck has been quoted as saying that he really felt like Batman when he put the suit on. So the image is important. When you portray a character, the image is important, because Batman and Bruce Wayne are almost separate entities. Almost. People, when Ben Affleck was announced as Batman, people said, well, he'll be good as Bruce Wayne. And of course because Bruce Wayne is just a normal guy. So with Lex Luthor, who is just a normal guy, he doesn't have an alter ego, he doesn't have superpowers or a suit. He has the pressure of portraying just this singular kind of character, in that, he doesn't have an alter ego, as I said already. He doesn't have an alter ego or a suit, so he's just Lex. There is no alternative. There's no like secondary character. It's just Lex. And he'll do good with the part, I think. The image is fantastic. Fairness to him, he shaved his head for it. I'm sure maybe that was a painful thing for him to do, because a lot of men don't like the fact of baldness. Some men are like, I don't want to go bald. They have implants put in. They wear wigs. I'm told I'm going bald, and I'm like, fuck it, I'm looking forward to it. One less thing to worry about. So, I don't know Jesse Eisenberg's feelings in the matter regarding shaving his head, but he had to. Because again, it's the one integral part of the image of Lex Luthor, is that he's bald. Because every portrayal of the character in the past has been bald. So, the picture is great, the actor is good. So far now. I'm encouraged, I'm not thinking, oh god, it's going to be a disaster. The only thing I've always said, the only thing that would bother me about the movie is that it sounds like they're trying to pack in too much. They've got, when they announced Batman and Superman, fair enough. Then they announced Wonder Woman. Then they announced Aquaman. There's talk the Flash is going to appear. They have cyborging. They might have Robin. It sounds like too much. It's like listening to multiple songs at the same time. It's too much. You just want to tone it down. You don't want pack too much in, because you might ignore something else and it might not be as good. That would be my only concern in the film, is that they might pack too much into it. But in terms of casting, so far they're doing good. Zack Snyder's steering it in the right direction, and I think it'll be good. I can't wait for 2016. It was fucking meant to be this year, but you know what can you do? So I look forward to 2016 and that film. Okay, right. Well, I think that's enough. I've rambled on long enough on that matter. Hope you've enjoyed this again. You know, feel free to comment on the video. You know, let me know what you think. You know, contact information for me is at the end of the credits. You know, my Twitter and Instagram and stuff like that. So you know, feel free to let me know what you think, and if there's a topic you want me to cover, you know, in a future episode, you know, let me know. So that's about it. Thanks very much for watching, and I'll see you soon. Bye bye.